interpreting the tarot. I'm hoping that some of the key points here will help enhance your interpretation and make this part of the tarot a whole lot simpler for you. So when we're interpreting the tarot, it's very much a subjective thing, which, that being said, there is no such thing as a right or wrong interpretation. So let me break this down for you a bit more simply. As humans, we experience life through a process of association. We have different experiences and we associate different meanings to these experiences that we have. You and I may have the exact same experience, but the things that we attach and that we associate to the experience could be completely different. We're both sitting on a roller coaster ride and I'm scared absolutely out of my mind and you are loving the experience. So we're associating different things. And where those associations stem from is from other associations, and so they build onto one another. When we're reading and interpreting the tarot, we're reading from our personal experiences and from our personal associations. So you looking at one card and me looking at the same card, we may have different interpretations of the card. It could mean different things because we're associating the card with different things. We're coming from different perspectives. Going back to the thing, there's no such thing as a right or wrong interpretation. So how do I know that the person that I'm reading for and the interpretation I'm giving them is the perspective that they're supposed to be hearing? Because they're sitting in front of you and you're the person doing the reading for them. If they're not meant to hear your perspective, they're not meant to be reading for them. I hope that clarifies that one for you. So that being said, because we read through this process of association and through our own personal experiences and we attach associations to these cards, you want to have a set that you can relate to. There are hundreds of thousands of different sets out of there that work through different types of imagery. They work on different systems. Some are really simple, some are really intricate, some are more artistic based, some are really basic. So we have so many different types of sets out there. Picking one that you can actually pick up and relate to, that you can actually associate meanings to the cards, is vital. There's nothing worse than having a set of cards and you're just like, I don't get it. You're not going to be able to interpret accurately and you're just pretty much going to make yourself anxious and feel like you're a bad reader. So have a relatable set. Key point number one. If you're going to take anything away from this video, take that point. Have a question or area that you're focusing on. So have a reason for putting your cards. It's all very well to pull your cards out and see what they got to tell you, but have some direction for yourself. Have something that you can always come back to. So when you're pulling the cards out, you're relating them back to the main question or to the main area of focus that you were looking at from the beginning. So have something to look at. Once you've pulled those cards, what's catching your attention? What in those cards is really drawing your eye in? Is it one specific card that's drawing your attention first? And if so, what card is that? Why is that card drawing in your attention? Pay attention to the colors, the symbols, and the images. What in that card is drawing your attention? Is it a specific color? Is it perhaps a specific image? Why is it drawing your attention? And what does it mean for you? Now, that being said, what it means for you can mean something today, and tomorrow could mean something different. So know that what's catching your attention in one card today could be completely different in 2 weeks' time or in 10 years' time, because maybe the question we're looking at is different, and also because perhaps your perspective is different. The association that you're attaching that card is different on that day. So pay attention to what's catching your eye and why it's catching your eye. What is your intuition saying about what's catching your eye? So perhaps you're pulling the Queen of Swords and the sword in the Queen's hand is really just popping out at you, and that light grey blue colored sky is really popping out at you. What does that color mean to you? What are you feeling when you're looking at that color? What are you feeling? What are you sensing when you're seeing that sword in her hand? What is it drawing out for you? Putting all of those together, you're starting to build your intuitive interpretation, because interpretation and intuition go hand in hand. You can't read the cards without your intuition. You need to read from that place. Otherwise, you may as well pull cards and look at the guidebook and give your answers from there, which is also completely okay to do that. But if you're going to really start to climb into interpretation, start to learn to trust yourself and grow that ability, interpretation and intuition go hand in hand. You read one with the other. So pay attention to these things. What do they mean for you? What is your intuition telling you about them? Don't overthink it. Don't overanalyze it. Don't be like, oh, well, what else is catching my eye? Did I catch everything? And, maybe I'm missing something. So don't overthink it and trust that initial message that comes through. You've got to trust this intuition. The more you read, the more you trust it. So keep reading, keep going. Always come back to your initial question or area of focus. Always relate what it is, what symbol popped out at you, the sword in the queen's hand and the color of the sky. How can you take those things and what they mean for you and relate them back to the original question that you have asked? How does that fit together? So what you're now doing is a bit of storytelling. You're starting to let this story unfold of, this is what I was initially looking at, and now I'm starting to see these parts of the story play out. You don't need to memorize all the card meanings. It's something that everybody gets stuck on at some stage of like, oh, I need to know all the meanings of the cards. You don't. Because interpretation and intuition go hand in hand. And if you're doing this, what colors, symbols, and images are catching your eye? What does your intuition say about it? What does it mean for you? What are you associating with that? And how are you bringing that back to your initial question? You haven't even touched on the base meaning of that card. You don't even need to know what the Queen of Swords is all about. All you need to focus on is the fact that that sword is saying something to you and the color of that sky is saying something to you. So don't get stuck on memorizing 78 picture cards. That is a lifetime's worth of work right there. In learning to understand the base meanings for the cards, spend some time with each one, getting to know that card and what does that card mean for you specifically. So yes, traditional tarot, each card has a very base specific meaning, but it's an interpretation, an intuitive interpretation. It's very much about what does the card mean for you. Attach an association to that card for yourself. Journaling with that part of tarot is really, really beneficial and I highly, highly recommend it. So don't get stuck on, I need to know all the meanings of the cards so that I can do correct interpretations. Because remember that interpretation is done by association. It's done from your perspective, from your experiences and your understandings. I hope that helps make interpretation less overwhelming and less stressful. And yeah, remember, interpretation and intuition, they go hand in hand.